Okay, can all of our journalists check quickly to just make sure that they have the function to record? If you don't, please send us a message in the chat.
All right, I'm not seeing anything, so I think we should go ahead and get started.
Okay.
All right, well, thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon. My name is Matt McNally. I'm communication strategist for Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. And I just want to quickly kind of let everyone know how this press conference will operate today. The commissioner is going to be addressing recent inquiries from local media about a vehicle crash that occurred yesterday evening in East Portland. She's going to be issuing a short statement and then is happy to answer questions from the media. Each journalist will be given recording privileges so they can obtain a copy of the press conference. Audio functions will be turned off for all those logging into this Zoom call. Video will be allowed so that the administrators can see if there's any issues by way of raised hands by anyone experiencing an issue during the session. Journalists who would like to submit a question for Commissioner Hardesty may do so through the chat function. So please submit your question to everybody, and then I will take those questions in order, read them out to the commissioner, and then she will answer them. And if there's anyone that's having any issues trying to get into this call or connect, please text 503-260-9252, and we can troubleshoot that for you. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Commissioner Hardesty. And Commissioner, you'll have to give us a moment. Rich is going to have to unmute you. He has the power in this room.
Stand by just a second here, a little technical difficulty. Why is that not?
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Rich. And thank you, media, for showing up on such short notice. This should not take us long. I want to be very clear. There is an accusation that threatens to damage my reputation as a city council member and as the transportation commissioner. I take these allegations very seriously and am here today to tell you that the allegations are false. I have not driven my car in the last 24 hours. In fact, my car is inoperable because of an unlatched door and has been sitting in the same parking spot for about 6 months. As you all know, I use Lyft when I'm going somewhere I can't walk. And let me just say how well that's turned out. You can ask my neighbors and they will tell you that my car hasn't moved. In fact, I've become an avid pedestrian since COVID-19 pandemic began. I also have not been contacted by Portland Police Bureau regarding any incident. Portlanders know that I am an open book. I'm human and sometimes I make mistakes. And when I have screwed up in the past, I've owned it, I've apologized, and I've taken responsibility. I'm telling you today, these allegations are false. And to be frank, these allegations are very suspicious. This appears to be part of a coordinated smear campaign perpetrated by Jeff Reynolds, former chair of the Multnomah County Republican Party, and right-wing media personality, as well as the Coalition to Save Portland, who Reynolds credits as breaking this alleged story. We have seen fringe right-wing media already running wild with this false story. And this is an attempt to make a story where no story exists. That's why I felt it was necessary to contact the media and have this conversation directly. When you have taken on police accountability issues as long as I have, you come to expect these kind of attacks. I've experienced them in the past, and I expect I will continue to experience them in the future. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Alrighty, so if folks can put their questions in the chat, and please identify which media outlet you're with. Our first question is from Liz Birch, who's with Coin News, and her question is there any chance someone else was driving Commissioner Hardesty's car at that time, such as a friend or relative?
Again, the car has been unoperable for the last 6 months and it's been sitting in the same parking spot. So no, no one can drive my car.
All right, and Maxine Bernstein from the Oregonian has asked, aside from the car that's outside your home, do you have any other car registered to you?
No. Well, let me back up. I had an automobile prior to the one I have now that I donated to Volunteers of America. And so I am not sure whether or not DMV says that I still am the registered owner. After COVID happened, it became impossible to actually do the DMV transfer process. So it is very possible that there is another automobile that is registered to me. However, it is currently at the lot at Volunteers of America as a donation to their program.
And just a follow-up question there is, what type of car was it that you donated, and what type of car is outside your home?
I have a Volkswagen Passat outside my home, and the car that I donated, I'd have to look it up. I don't know cars like that, but I do have paperwork that I could back with Maxine later and tell her what that car.
Great. We have a question from Rebecca with OPB. Did anyone from PPB reach out to you about this?
No.
All right. Question from KPTV. Are you saying this was a completely made up narrative, or do you think someone mistook you for someone else?
Based on the facts I have at the moment, it appears to be a smear campaign.
And then we have a question from Zane with the Portland Tribune. Can you provide more details on why your current car is inoperable?
Yes, the lock on the door is broken, which means I now cannot lock the door. And so because I cannot lock the door, the battery is dead.
And then let's see here. We've got another question from Maxine. Were you home at 4:48 p.m. yesterday, or were you driving in someone else's car?
I was home. The media may remember that I was at City Council most of the day yesterday. Shortly after 4 was when council ended. And I did not leave my house at all yesterday, not in the last 24 hours.
Great. We have a follow-up from K2. You say this is a smear campaign. Do you believe they asked someone to report your license plate and got a teacher to say this?
I don't know how or what happened. All I know is that Maxine Bernstein called my office this morning asking if I had been involved in a hit and run. And that was the first exposure I had to any allegation of me doing anything to anyone.
Great. Alex with the Portland Mercury is asking, how did you first hear about this allegation that you were involved in a hit and run, which you kind of just answered. But,
yes.
Let's see. I guess, why would you think this is a smear campaign is a question coming up.
As someone who's been working on police accountability in this community for 32 years, I can tell you that this is a normal tactic used to discredit people who accountability into our policing force. This is the very first time being in a position of power, sitting on a city council, someone has tried to use such an elaborate smear campaign. And it is because, is it because I'm the first African-American woman? Is it because I'm leading transforming Portland Police Bureau? Is it because I demand accountability? I cannot answer those questions at this moment because I don't know what the motivation was. What I know is that when someone says that I was involved in a hit and run, as the commissioner in charge of transportation, that comes with an additional burden. I'm trying to make Portland streets safe. So if I'm a commissioner in charge, that totally discredits my reputation and the work that I'm doing.
All right, we've had a couple questions kind of following up on the donation to Volunteers for America. Are you able to clarify?
Hold for a
how
sec. I'll
long-
just go grab the documents and I'll come back because let's just answer this. I'd like to just nip this in the bud today and have this be done.
Mhm.
I just want to be really clear. I didn't hit anybody. I wasn't driving. No one drove my car. And all this entire allegation is totally false. Hold for a sec. I will go get the document and be right back. Sorry, Matt, it was not as easy as I thought it would be, but I will get that question answered as soon as this is over.
Sounds good. Alex from the Mercury asks, if this is in fact a smear campaign, how do you plan on holding the people accountable who spread this misinformation? And do you believe this needs to be investigated?
Thank you for that question. Yes, I do believe this needs to be investigated. And it's my hope that Portland Police Bureau will vigorously investigate these false allegations and use whatever means necessary to hold the individuals responsible accountable.
Righty. And then you live near this intersection. Is that correct? And did anyone come knock on your door and ask if you had recently rear-ended them?
I don't live near that intersection, and no one knocked on my door and asked me if I rear-ended them. And let me just say, I look very distinctive, right? There are not a lot of people in Portland that look like me. And so when someone says that Joanne Hardesty did something, this is Joanne Hardesty. I'm telling you, Joanne Hardesty never left the house, was not involved in an automobile, and I wasn't even close to 143rd Avenue.
All right, I think that addresses all the questions we've seen. If folks have follow-up questions, please reach out to hardestymedia@portlandoregon.gov.
And you will be getting a response about the make and model of the automobile, and I'll have Matt put it on that, send it out through that medium.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us on short notice. Appreciate your patience while we got the Zoom link going and for working through some tech difficulties with us. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.